You can't wonder what service we provide with our logo. So our trucks say it, everything, it's very clear and concise. I think there's some really cool wraps out there and trucks out there and logos out there. The only thing that if I want to be super critical, I would say that it's sometimes hard to identify.
For long overdue guests, I met Kurt at one of the movers conferences a couple years back, and we've always been talking back and forth of going, let's sit down, let's have a talk. I kind of want to learn about this. I'm excited because when I hear a place like Lake Geneva, because I'm Swiss, I think I'm in Switzerland, but no, we're just in Michigan. So Kurt Hintz, Wisconsin. This is the Canadian thing, right? I'd love to get to try some Americans on knowing where half the places are in Canada. But when I see like a WI or an MI or anything, I'm always thinking like Michigan, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin. All right. I like it. But Kurt Hintz from Max Moving and Storage, been around since 2013. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's peak season, baby.
It's peak season, and we're like in the thick of it right now. For anybody that has their screen on super bright, I suggest turning it down. You have two strong bald-headed men with lights shining on us. So we really don't want to, I get it. Superman's out. We're very Lex Lutherian looking, but it works. Which,
by the way, did you see the new Superman?
I have seen the new Superman. It's a controversy, right?
So, it was hard.
Okay, so all right, I love this. This is great. This is great off topic. So Superman. All right, for those who've seen it, please, you know what? I'd love to hear your stories on it or your comments. But here's my thing. I took my 8-year-old son to go see it, and my wife, who somehow snuck her way to come along. She never watches superhero flicks at all. And for entertainment, for watching my son glued to the screen and really just embracing the colors, the animation of the people, and all of the characters that they had in Superman was great to see. Like, for him, best movie he's seen in like a long time. For the adult in me, I was like, entertainment value, sure, I'll give it a 9 out of 10, but boy, there could have been way more. Like, I feel like there was just I mean,
it's hard to watch.
Die hard to like watch that kind of stuff. Then again, my favorite movie is The Dark Knight, right? So it's
a good favorite.
That more grit and having more oomph in the movie, for sure. But I don't know. I guess it really depends. It's like when you watch someone rebrand their trucks, right? In the moving industry, it's like you have you've taken over this legacy moving company. Maybe you recently just purchased it or acquired this company. You want to do a rebrand, or maybe you're like us, where we've been around in the business for a long time. We designed our logos back in like 2010, 2013. And, at that time we were still probably using clip art and trying to just figure it out and going, all right, this looks good. And
I'm a triangle, so it doesn't get much more
I
complex than that.
Than that. I know. And so it's like I'm doing like subtle hints for you, Kurt, to kind of go, hey, maybe it's time for a rebrand. No, I'm joking.
Is it a hint with a Z though? Is that the helpful hint? Yeah,
that's right. The essence of trying to rebrand, and then people go, ooh, like that just didn't work. Or like, oh, wow, like you really knocked out of the park. You really saw what you should have been doing or how to look like. And I really want to give out a shout out to Steve Mandick from Clutch Moving and Storage out on the West Coast, and also now, I guess, in Arizona. Yeah. But he just is recently doing a full rebrand of his logo. That was a logo that he designed back in the day. It worked for their company, and now he's working on this. He's working and investing lots of money into marketing a new version of the brand, and it looks phenomenal. It's
awesome.
He went with a nice simple look. It worked out well, and I'm excited to see how that works, right? Because a lot of times you go and you rebrand, you've done this, and then the response isn't as good. as you'd hope for, right? You just invested tons of money in it. But are you looking at doing a rebrand?
No interest in that at all.
Keep it.
It's simple. It was simple from the start. I like the simplicity of it. Our brand recognition is strong. You know, that we have made some tweaks to it over the years. Originally, it was the yellow background. The triangle has always remained red, and the actual lettering was blue, like a navy blue. And so we kind of have the home and away colors. So our trucks, we started, the original shirts were yellow. I think it didn't take long before I realized that was not going to work for long because they looked terrible after, 2 moves. So got away from the yellow, ended up going with black with like the gold accent or the yellow accent. And then eventually transitioned the trucks to like a trade-off. So we have black trucks and yellow trucks. And then with the black, we changed obviously the font from blue to yellow to bring that contrast back in. And so the contrasting trucks, I even have the containers set up that way too. So our 19-foot containers are yellow, and then the 16-foot are black. So when customers want to know what size the unit they saw driving down the road, well, what color was it?
I like that.
We can quickly identify it. And so every truck we get alternates. And I've got some pup trailers when I bought the first 2 pup trailers. One was yellow, one was black. So it's kind of like a bumblebee effect going down the road. My operations manager definitely prefers the black. So he's constantly trying to kind of overcompensate on the dark colored trucks. They're hard to keep clean though. That's the only negative. They look great when they're new, but as soon as you get some tree branches, it's
Oh yeah, and it starts taking off that shine as well too. Things start looking dull on the side of the trucks, and you almost have to like rewrap it again. The yellow pops though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it really pops. It's so noticeable when I can imagine on the trucks when you're driving down the street, you're knowing who it is, right? You're not second guessing. Oh, which moving company is that? No, it's Max. It's right there.
Yeah. I like keeping it simple too. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, people recognize it. It's simple. You can't wonder what service we provide with our logo. So our trucks say it, everything, it's very clear and concise. I think there's some really cool wraps out there and trucks out there and logos out there. The only thing that if I want to be super critical, I would say that it's sometimes hard to identify what service is being offered on that truck because there's just so much happening. And for me, I just like the simple, easy, UPS is my best, correlation. I mean, granted it's poop brown, but everybody recognizes the logo, and I enjoy that. That's the simplicity. But sorry, go ahead.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use. And that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we have 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Well, but that's the same thing with, like, you talk about it with symbols like Nike and Adidas and stuff, right? It's a simplistic logo. You start seeing that a lot more on more brands that are coming out, right? It's just like a simple, symbol or a simple word. 2013, you kick things off, you get in there, your background was in self-storage, service industry. You now are operating over 16 trucks. and that's probably more now, I'm assuming, and some container storages and well over 30 employees.
Yeah, we have 19 power units in service right now. We have our 20th one being built. I'm kind of building a little bit of an experiment, kind of a unicorn truck, but it's essentially a stretched day cab tractor trailer setup that is going to have a 30-foot box on it, or 28-foot box on it with the sleeper built in. It'll have a tag axle for the additional weight capacity, which I did find out. I think that the drop axles are not legal in Canada. I learned that from John Watson. That's unfortunate. We've got 3 of those trucks now, and this will have the large box. It's got the big power plant, the big motor, the heavy duty transmission, and then we'll be able to pull a pup trailer behind it. So the truck itself will have about a 2,200 pound or 2,200 cubic foot capacity. And then the pup trailer is another 2,000 to 2,300 cubic feet capacity. And we can pull it with the tow dolly, the converter dolly that goes between the 2 pup trailers. That'll be fixed to the back of the truck. And so the trailer will still pivot on the 5th wheel that's on the converter dolly. And it'll give us the option to add, another 2,000 cubes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we at Salmons, they had that set up back in like the 90s.
The pups?
Where we had the pup trailers as well too, because this way that 5-ton, or 7-ton really could take off and do some trips without having that tractor trailer driver, and you're still getting 20,000 pounds shipments to go back and forth. So I think it's fantastic. Congratulations on your unicorn build.
We'll see.
Good luck. I want to see some pictures when it's all ready to go.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting setup. I'm optimistic about it. There's a couple little challenges, but for the most part, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a great truck, and it's a lot easier to drive than the pups. The pups, they've got their pros and cons. The ability to drop one is nice, but your inability to back up if you get yourself into a pickle is not great.
I'm like the last person to ask. I don't ask me to back up. I remember having an SUV with a small trailer on it because I was going somewhere, and it was like the worst experience for me. I was trying to turn, and it was turning like I'm not that coordinated. I'd rather just hire someone else to do it. So, back to the beginning. Like, what sparked you then to want to launch your own moving company?
The majority of it was essentially, I tell people, like, the evictions and foreclosures was originally the start of it. The local sheriff's department would hire us for the storage. So when there's an eviction or a foreclosure in our county, the sheriff's department was required by law to be hired by the landlord or property owner, or whatever the case is. And they would hire them to come in and serve papers, and eventually, if necessary, physically remove the people that were living there that were getting evicted. And by physically remove, they would physically remove the person if they didn't leave on their own. And they would then coordinate with a moving company to take everything out of the property and put it into storage. The stipulation being it had to stay in the county, and it had to be paid for 1 month's worth of rent, so that the person that was getting evicted had 30 days to claim their items without limitations. So that's really how it started. I built a relationship with the sheriff deputy that came to me and said, "Hey, I need a place to store this stuff. It needs to stay in the county." And so I was doing that for him, just kind of built a friendship. He liked the way that I operated, my attention to detail, my systematic way of doing things, even on the storage level, he was really pleased with. And throughout the years, I think we did it for probably 2 years before he finally came into my office. And at that time I was bartending to just kind of make my own ends meet. And he asked why I don't just start a moving company and start doing the moving in addition to the storage, which, looking back, he was really just looking for a one-stop shop. He just wanted to, go to one person to deal with all of it. And the company he was hiring was coming from about an hour away, so there was paying for that travel time, and you couldn't find anybody in the county to do it. At that time, there was one established moving company in the county, and it was a van line that I did end up acquiring in 2020. So I said, okay. I took my tip money that I saved up, bought a used 16-foot Penske. That's where the yellow came from. I was just trying to cut costs and figured just throw the logo on that and run it. So that's what I did. And it just took off from there. I found that there was a huge need for quality moving services in this market, in this demographic. Lake Geneva, I've heard the Swiss one is nice too. But Lake Geneva is I kind of call it the Hamptons of Chicago. It's very much a destination. There's a lot of high net worth individuals that have second, third, fourth homes on the lake. Some of the properties, I think our record-breaking property recently just sold for in the high 30s and 30 million. I think it was like 38 million. So there's been several that have sold for more than 30 million within the last few years. And it's a great area. It's a beautiful place. It's worth visiting. I encourage anybody to come visit it. It's awesome for that. It's very much home. Wisconsin winters aren't the best, but it's kind of a unique little bubble, and that's good and bad, because the bubble that we're in is great because we've got our own little economy, and in this small town, there's people. The money's here to justify what we do. We are insulated from the rest of the world, so the economic ebbs and flows seem to impact us less, both good and bad. So when COVID kind of was taking things through the moon, we were just kind of delayed on it. And then when things started to slow down, we really didn't slow down. It has recently started to slow down in the sense that there's just not a lot of inventory. So the prices keep doing this. But other than that, that's why I've recognized I have to start to expand out of this market, because I've really kind of captured all of it. There's not much. There's a couple of little fly-by-nights that operate here, which I have a good, I'm kind of a control freak, so I have a good little. I've had my thumb on them. I know what they're doing. I know where they're operating out of.
Yeah,
we have a great relationship.
A lot of them just come and go, anyways, and you just kind of keep.
Yeah, and they serve a purpose. There's people that just want, simple manpower things. They don't care about their patio furniture going from point A to point B. So they exist. One of them is a previous employee that also has my logo tattooed on his butt. So that's kind of awesome.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first, so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
That sounds like a good side story on that one.
We'll talk about that one over a drink or something.
Yeah, for sure. Now, as you're growing this, you're looking back from 2013. You got the Penske truck. You clearly already now have a steady client, because now you're doing like all the evictions and foreclosure homes that are going out. But mentorship to me always can be like such a huge game changer. So who was like your biggest mentor, whether from the moving industry or somewhere else, that also was there beside you, helping you grow and build the company?
That's an awesome question, Mark. And I'm very passionate about mentorship because I've been blessed to have not only an awesome mentor, but an awesome father that was, you can't ask for a better mentor than that father figure that's in your life that not only is there for you in all the right ways, but also has the entrepreneurial background. So my dad started his own business. He was always entrepreneurial, and I'm very much cut from the same cloth. He built an electrical contracting company and got up to about the 25 to 30 employee mark. And when the recession came through in '08, he had already he actually trimmed it back before that because it was just too much for him to manage. So he hit kind of that cap that would be the equivalent in our industry of like that $1 million to 2 million range, where the owner can't keep a pulse on everything without being constantly involved, and it just starts to burn you out. That's the image I have. I don't know what the revenue was at that time, but that's about the point where he decided to cut it back, get more control of the organization. The recession came through, and he shut everything down. He did manage to keep a couple of employees that are still with him today. They do far more than electrical contracting, but anyways, he was great. He's always been my biggest supporter, and still continues to does a great job of getting us referrals too. Anytime he talks to somebody, I mean, he really sells the company well. But at some juncture, I recognized that he couldn't. I tapped out his wisdom. He couldn't bring me more because he hadn't gone to the next level. I got to the same ceiling that he got to, and I was no longer able to push through that. And fortunately, a guy that worked with him in the past reached out to me, saw the business was growing, and took me under his wing. And I'm still working with him today. So he really taught me how to take not only the leadership to the next level, but also understanding how to really run a business the way a business should be run, which for most of us moving company owners, especially if we start off in the operations and build it from there, a lot of times you end up becoming your biggest hurdle. A lot of times owners are in the way of the majority of their growth. And he taught me accountability. He still holds me accountable. Essentially, I mean, I'll joke around and say that I basically pay him a salary just to hold me accountable, just to kick my ass once a week and call me out on my BS. Because if you don't have that person doing that, I don't care who you are, you have to really continue to grow. You just need that objective view that's not gonna sugarcoat it, that's gonna be constructive, that's gonna deliver the message, and also knows how to see and understand the elements of the business that you may not be, because we're so close to our business, it's hard to see that vantage. So he purposely stays far enough away that he doesn't get clouded by, employee drama or any of it. He just stays just enough distance where he's able to see the things that I might not be able to. And I can't speak highly enough about it. It's so important.
Well, and I love that because I can relate to a lot of your story as well with my dad and kind of getting a plateau of going, okay, this was great for here, but if I want to go here, you've never reached here, and now I need to outsource it. I need to find where I can, and so I was also very lucky. But my luck, in a sense of the groups and the people and the networking, came past the point of where I left because I hit a plateau in my previous moving company and said, fuck this. I'm just going to go for more of the white horse, something that's well-oiled machine that I can take it and grow, where the systems and everything was in place instead of learning it from the ground up, because I just didn't have those mentors or those teachers. I didn't have a father that said, oh, here, seek out this, or I have some people to recommend you. And I couldn't figure that out myself either. So it was only until like the Louis Massaros and the Moving Titan retreats and having connections with other moving company owners that I really was like, oh, okay. Like, what have I been doing for, the last like 15 years when everything's locked in my head? When it comes down to accountability, I started dropping a lot of my friends that would always just be like, "Oh, great job. Oh yeah, keep going. Keep no, no, no. Like I want you to
Don't
call
tell
me
me
out on
what I
my
want to hear.
yeah, call
Yeah.
me out on my shit, right? Like
Yeah.
people my wife always is like, "You're so blunt." I'm like, "Yeah, because some people just need to be called out." Like I always tell her sometimes, like there's one or two of her friends, I'm like, "Why do you even talk to these people?"
Yeah.
Like it's just like such a sugarcoat of friendship that it's like, just tell her exactly what you're going to tell me after the phone call and bitch them out, like just like be blunt. And because you don't need these people in your lives. And I think as business owners, like we need it. I don't know, like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's this sense of like, we're already sitting up here and there's nobody on top of us that's saying, "Hey, Kurt, okay, you need to go do this. You go do this, go do this," like an employee. So you need that coach. You need that mentor that's going to go, "No, no, no. Like, hey, keep your eyes up here. Keep focused. You're fucking up and you're getting lazy over here. So like get back on track and make sure that you are doing your objections. Are you doing like your non-negotiables, your daily non-negotiables that you need to get done?" I think it's super important. So
Yeah, I just want to add to that too, because, well, first of all, superficial relationships, like you were referring to with your wife's friends, the sooner at some point, I think people do realize that. I think everybody finds it at a different point in their life. And a lot of times I think people also recognize, or don't recognize, I should say, that family can be that superficial relationship too. And I had no problem starting to disconnect from people in my life. And it really didn't matter if it was, extended family or whatever. It's, if you're not going to bring value to my life, then I'm going to slowly remove myself. And that can sound harsh and that can sound selfish and kind of cynical, but it's my life. And that's the only thing I have control of. And who I choose to spend it with is the decision that I need to make. And that needs to reflect where I'm trying to go. So to that point, I completely agree. And, the reality of it, it's kind of silly to think that any moving company owner, I can't preach to other industries, but every top athlete, every bodybuilder, every CEO has somebody holding them accountable. I mean, when these guys are at the gym pushing their body to the limits, having that person saying, one more, and that spotter to push you through those ceilings, it's expected in that. I mean, Michael Jordan is one of the best, if not the best basketball player of all time, but he had a coach, he had a trainer. Everybody does. It's ridiculous to think that any of us are above that. So, I mean, I encourage everybody to do it.
It's such a great, to me, that's such a great example, because for anybody that's listening that goes to the gym, how many of us will sit there working out by ourselves being like, all right, 10 reps, we're good. We're going to stop for that, 3-minute break because we're going to go check an email. But if you're working out with someone, if you're working out with a friend, or especially a personal trainer that's there holding you accountable, it's amazing that you were able to still do those last 5 reps with ease than stopping at 10. And to me, it's the same in business, where we have this goal that we set, we hit the goal, but guess what? If you had just done a couple more extra steps or applied yourself a little bit more, you actually would have almost like double, tripled. I mean, you're looking at, look around and look at the moving companies, whether they're on social media, those that are within your circle, and see the ones that are killing it. Not bullshit talk of, wow, I'm having a killer month and everything else, but the ones that are pulling up the numbers and showing you what they're booking, and you're sitting there going like, oh, we're really not that busy. Right. So which it really kind of leads me into the, what's one strategy, Kurt, within Max that you had to use to kind of stay in the game, like during those challenging times, like especially like COVID, recessions, having a smaller market, because you've already then become that hometown dominator within your area by everybody knowing who you are. But, things slow down. Right. Was there certain marketing tools or ways that you went out to get business that was that a bit of a stay in the game changer?
I think I know what you're asking, but I guess I haven't had I've had, I guess, a different version of that. The business has always flowed for us. As I was growing, I didn't grow faster than I can maintain the quality control. So we've never had a lead problem. The leads have always been in excess, and we only handled what we could at the service level that I wanted to maintain. So we are at the point now where we're ready to start growing, because I've got the scaling tools and the systems in place. And when I say the systems in place, I'm not talking about, smart moving. I'm talking about the next level of scaling, because when I started to really dive into the details of the business and understand how can I keep a pulse on the business without being here. I was a very, very involved owner operator. I knew everything that was going on. Regardless of what hat I was wearing, I had a pulse on everything. So once I started to remove myself from that and put people in place to head those departments, I ran into challenges, because the saying that we use in the office, especially within the leadership, is trust but verify. So if I took somebody's word for it, hey, did this get done? Or what's the story on this? I would get an answer, and I would trust that answer. And I still trust that answer. The difference now is that I will verify that. I need verification. So my staff knows, don't answer the question with what I want to hear. Tell me, if you don't know the answer, tell me you don't know the answer. Don't answer it with what you think I want to hear, because I'm going to ask you to validate it. You're going to have to show me some sort of proof of it. Now, obviously there's situations where that's not the case. Did you change the toilet paper or whatever? But there's always this accountability that has to exist, and being able to measure everything to that level of detail is a huge undertaking of its own. And I don't know where you're at with your business, but I recognize that I have to be able to see everything and be able to zoom in, look at it. If we discover a problem, then we investigate. Similar to a dashboard on a truck or a car. If the oil levels and the temperatures are all where they're supposed to be within that range, you keep moving. But if something starts to go one direction or the other and it gets into a danger zone, now it's time, okay, we need to, what are the symptoms? What's leading up to this? What should I check first? So really establishing that, and then going one step further and saying, okay, this is what I would check when this happens. Now teaching my staff and giving them the tools and empowering them to find those things out. So when they come to me with something, if they come to me with a problem, they have to come with at least 2 solutions, if not 3. A good, better, best scenario. What are you seeing? What do you think the solutions are? Let's talk through them together, and I'll help them get an understanding of my thought process and how we go about those things. And we feed off of that. Before you know it, they're just getting it and understanding, okay, that's how we're going to do this. That's how we're going to do this.
Do you find taking that and then making it into like an SOP and having like some type of process in there? Or do you find it a bit redundant that they're never going to look back on that paper, because you're like, no, I'm helping them find the solutions and we're walking it through so that they can self-correct it?
It's the latter, because you can't put an SOP in place for everything. And even if you do, great, it won't be referenced, because there's so many scenarios. And again, I can't speak to other industries, but the moving industry seems to always be having things come at that are just like one-off situations, that you just need people that have the ability to problem solve, stay calm, process the situation, and decide how to go about it. And that's what we really focus on. It's far more effective than the S. There is things that we have, the standard operating procedures, and I'm still finding holes here and there that, we patch up little things that, okay, we're not doing this right because it's affecting this report or whatever. But that's a process. That's a process that I didn't expect to be as in-depth and as challenging as it is. I've been overhauling all these things for a couple of years now, and then continuing to improve the timeliness of that data, so that when we do go to put another location in place to start to target more market share in other markets, we're going to be able to catch these problems early on, early detection, what KPIs to look at and when. Because that's another thing that we started doing is, I don't want to just know what the KPI is. I want to know how often we're measuring it. And I want to know what the target range is. Like, where are we supposed to be with it? Because if you're just looking at a number and you don't know where it's supposed to be or where you're trying to be, it's just a number. It doesn't tell you anything. And to talk about the KPI, it's like, okay, what's a KPI? A KPI can be anything from revenue to labor burden to truck maintenance to mileage, fuel efficiency. I mean, it goes on and on. how often are you looking at the different KPIs and how are you measuring them in that process? So we started recognizing certain KPIs, like I don't need to know what our fleet utilization is on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, maybe a quarterly, maybe annual, so we can prepare for what capital expenditures are coming down the pipeline. What do we need to do to prepare for next season? I don't need to look at that on a monthly basis.
Are you, when it comes down to the trucks, because if anybody that's listening is thinking the same way I am, I'm thinking, oh boy, we monitor the trucks and we bring them in for regular maintenance, but we really don't have something like this in place. Can you give us a scenario or like a rundown of like how you are creating a KPI for each like for your local trucks, in a sense of what are you tracking or using software to track this, and then how are you building this out so that you're either being preventative maintenance, seeing if we're burning too much fuel, we're killing this truck too fast. Like, are those the kind of the metrics that you're looking for?
Yeah. And so once you start getting the data in place and you have that consistent flow of data, the gathering process.
Who's giving you the data? Are you using like a Samsara, Geotab?
Yeah. Samsara provides a ton of information. So if you don't have Samsara or some equivalent, you're really, really leaving a lot of information on the table. And not only from the compliance standpoint with the e-logs, but there's just a lot of good tools there. We use Samsara to measure the driver's safety score and efficiency. We monitor that on a monthly basis with the team so that they can see how they're doing and how they're ranking with their peers, who's got the most fuel efficient mileage and different things like that. The maintenance schedule Samsara does have as well. So we do run, I think we run less of that now and more of an internal process. My operations manager handles the maintenance side of our fleet. He's kind of a unicorn in that regard, that he's an excellent mechanic, and then also has the ability to manage people and handle dispatch. He's got a trucking background, so he's kind of a unicorn in that sense.
Those are fantastic unicorns to have.
Yeah. The challenge is now he's got such a high standard for the maintenance and the mechanical side that trying to get that off of his plate and put somebody in place that can do those things, that poses a challenge too, because his expectations are high. But yeah, so he submits that information, making sure that the trucks are staying rolling. Contrary to what other people have said, I don't like the idea of having a maintenance agreement with a third party. They only fix things that break. They don't put the effort into the preventative maintenance that I think is so important, because when these trucks break down, we all know how detrimental that can be. And it can be so expensive. So if a belt maybe doesn't need to be replaced because it hasn't broken yet, but I'm already here, I've already got the engine pop, let's go ahead and replace it. That's the type of incentive that he has to keep the fleet going, because he's also incentivized off of the gross profit. That's another thing too, that it all kind of comes together. So I don't know if I answered your question though.
What's up, guys? Quick interruption during your Movified listen here. I know you're crushing it, taking notes, and you're killing it. Hey, if you're looking for a coach to hold you accountable, connect you with other companies, and show you exactly how they lead their multiple locations, give me a call today. Text me. We'll get you taken care of. We'll get you signed up for the Moving Army. 805-441-6118. You reach out to me. I'll always make sure I give you my all. Let's go.
No, you did, and I appreciate that, and I think you're right when you spoke earlier. If you don't have some type of a fleet tracking on your trucks, you don't have to go to the extreme of the cameras and everything else. It definitely helps, especially keeping your guys accountable, and in situations where there could be an accident, if that particular truck's on the road all the time. Yes, I 100% say get those cameras installed, but the actual tracking is so key. And Samsara is a great product as well too. I always tell people, if you're listening to the show, at least get 3 demos on some different products, one that's going to mainly work for your company. Do not listen to the show and jump at it saying, hey, awesome, I'm just going to go with Samsara, because it might not be for you. You might really like another program. Looking back, what's one mistake that you made in the early days maybe in operations or expansion, that taught you a really good, valuable lesson?
I got to pick one.
Well, listen,
That's-
you're good. We're still good for time, so you can give me with like 2 or 3. I mean, it definitely happens in this industry.
All right. So I would say that this is pretty much the first one that comes to mind, I guess, without going too deep into the weeds. I would say blurring the line between having a personal relationship with my staff and maintaining a business relationship. So blurring that line, or really, I mean, in theory, there should be almost no personal relation. I mean, you still do see these people every day. You're still around them. There is an element of that comes to the table, but keeping your personal life out of the business is crucial, because if you don't, they're going to bring, you're setting a standard. If you talk, if you come to work and you complain about your girlfriend or your kids or, your finances or whatever, or just any of it, you're opening the door for that employee to do the same. And to go one step further into it, because I know this will be a nugget for some people. If an employee comes to you with a request or a question or a need or whatever the case is, if you say, I can't get to this because I'm too busy, and you explain, I'm too busy for this, or I'm too busy for that, I'm doing this, I got to go deal with this, I got to go deal with that, and you start to justify why you can't get them what they need or why you didn't deliver what you were supposed to, you've opened the door for them to use the same thing back to you. Because everybody's busy. So to say that I don't have time for this right now, I got too much on my plate, erase that from your vocabulary. Otherwise, they're going to use it. And so when you go to hold them accountable, when you go to say, hey, why didn't you do it? Oh, I have so much going on, and my kid got sick and didn't show up to school and I got to go to do this. It's like, you're going to have to eat those excuses. Because life happens. Everybody's going to have those things. You have to be able to compartmentalize the two. And it starts with the leadership. It starts with each of us. And if you're listening to this and you are leading your company, you're involved, if you can have enough self-awareness to say, do I do that? If you're not sure if you do that, chances are you do. So make the effort, strip that from your vocabulary. The only challenge you're going to have is you're going to notice that staff that's already doing it is not going to want to change. They're going to be used to those excuses, and you're going to start to call out those excuses, and it's going to be very hard to detach from that. So be prepared for some turnover because of it, because I had a lot of it.
That is gold, everybody. That is so gold, and it happens to us daily. And I love the fact, I really appreciate you bringing this up. Have you found certain phrases, or how were you able to fix that when you were when you had your employees addressing that, or if you had your own problems, how were you addressing employees coming to you saying, I need to get this done, in your response?
Yes, well, there's a couple questions you asked there. I'm trying to figure out which one I should start with. You gotta clean cut it off, and it's hard. I don't want to pretend like I have it figured out. There's times where I still go too deep into it. You just have to, chances are the people that you talk to the most, you're probably sharing too much. And that's the other aspect of it too, is this person's on your payroll. You don't want them talking to their coworker about their personal life and spending time on your dime doing that. But yet you're doing the same if you're complaining about or talking about, and I'm not saying you got to be so militant that you can't say, how was your weekend, and talk about it for a minute. I'm not saying you can't take a few minutes to talk about current events or whatever. Superman was a part of our conversation. We all gave the sales guy a hard time because he's like, yeah, it wasn't bad. And then we went and I'm like, I wanted to leave. So it's, we can still have fun. You can still do those things. Just set a line, hold that boundary. So that's the answer to that one. When it comes to dealing with it for staff that has that, I didn't have success. I'll be honest with you. I ended up having to turn them all over because eventually they couldn't get on board with the new way of operating. They really couldn't see, because if they're not getting the things done that they're supposed to get done, and they're using what happened in their personal life or even just in business. It could be just something, well, I'm dealing with this or I'm dealing with that. Okay, but you had X amount of time. It also helps to ask the staff member what a fair deadline is. Hey, I need you to do this. When can you have it done by? I can have it done by the end of the week. Great. Check back in at the end of the week. If it's not done, you need to hold them accountable. I hope people will have more success doing that, but you have to stay consistent with it, and you do have to hold them accountable. People tend to not like that, because when you do call them out on those things, and especially if in the past you did not follow up on that deadline or set that deadline in the first place, and it just kind of got kicked down the road, you're going to run into some challenges there. And it was hard. I, like I said, turned over my entire office over the last 3 years. But now I got the people in place that understand these are the expectations, and they're performing at a very high level. The vibe is great. The culture is great. Things are getting done. We're making progress.
Sometimes those changes have to be made. I have a hard time in certain stages where I will walk by the office and I'll have two employees that are chatting. And it's one of those things where you're almost looking at your watch going like, how long is this conversation, or how long has it been going on? And it's tough because you want to turn around going like, hey, like, get back to work, get moving. Like, we have shit to do. There's things happening. And the other time you think as the owner, you're like, but I want a good culture within the company. I kind of want them to, like, they should be allowed to have a conversation. But you're right. It's having guidelines in place where if you're stopping to talk and it goes off topic, guys, keep it to a minimum of like 2 minutes. Like, but making these guidelines in place and let them know that you are watching, or there are people watching, and that you should be held accountable. I really like your answer before, which is, let's set a date. Let's have this done. And it really should be also for yourself too, because I have plenty of staff that come to me going, Mark, I need to get this from you, or I need to get that from you. And a lot of times I will say, yeah, not a problem. I'll get on it. But I sometimes don't hold myself to a deadline. And it might be like a couple days. So it's actually, I appreciate that, because it's a good phrase that I'm going to actually start giving myself some hard deadlines on getting tasks done and saying, great, I'll get this to you by Friday. So
people respond well to structure. And you know as well as I do that if you've got a deadline, I had a deadline to be on this call at this time, and I was on the call at this time. It's if you think about it, it's pretty simple. It's when you don't give people a definitive deadline that it really is not fair to them. And so if you don't practice it in your own life, you're likely not practicing it in business. And if you're not, we don't have the issues of people talking too much. I mean, they're going to make conversation, but people are getting their job done because they understand the expectations are, hey, we got to get our job done, because that's what I do. I get my job done. You do what you're supposed to. And if there's time for us to chat, we'll chat. And you end up not having to worry about watching your watch or concerned about that. But that takes time to get there. That's not a flip the switch. It will take some time, and there's going to be some pain in the process, but it will improve everything in your life from personal through business 100%.
And if you find you're getting too many questions and you feel inundated with a lot of extra work, get yourself a VA. Get yourself an EA. I mean, this morning, my EA is like, okay, Mark, like, here's your task. Here's your stuff. Here's what's going on. And I actually said to him, hey, listen, I need you to harass me. I saw an email that didn't go out. Oh, I sent you the draft. Yeah, but you didn't follow up with me. I'm dealing with like 10 different phone calls, and I'm on my EA to actually kind of almost hold me more accountable, going like, I need you to get this done, but like, let's get all of this stuff done. And I'm holding him accountable as well too. But a lot of that mundane work that I used to be like, oh, like, I don't have time to do this. I have way more other important things to get done. My EA is doing it all. I don't have to think about it, and it's such a minimal expense. So if you're not doing it, reach out to me. You know who to look for. You got readyrolls.com. Come on, shout out to Stephen Reed. Check out Ready Rolls. Go check out Hey Lou. There's plenty of them out there that can help you get set up with one of them. Last question.
Sure.
Live, work, balance. You got a family. You try and stay organized with having this balance. you got business demands, your personal well-being. We're both good-looking gents that probably, go to the gym at least once a week. How are you doing it? How are you structuring it? Is this something that you really focus on day to day? How is it when you like, is there a certain time period where you turn off that clock and you're like, this is strictly family time, you block in vacation times? I just hit you with about 10 different questions. So, digest it, take it all in, and how are you making it work?
It's a great question. I would say it actually segues well off of what you just described, right from what we just finished talking about to the VAs to this. It's you really, to say you don't have time for something is nothing more than a you problem. And if you're going to use that excuse in any capacity to yourself, to a staff member, to your wife, to your kids, you are failing at life. It really is what it is, because time is the most valuable resource that we have. It's also the one thing you can't buy more of. You can buy your time today. You can start to put things in place to free up that time to get it back. But you only have control of really one thing in your life, and that's you and what you choose to do with it. So the VA conversation, it segues very nicely into that, because if there's things that you're doing that you can delegate, then you should be delegating them. And it almost becomes an addiction. You start to realize, like, I don't want to do anything that's beneath this value. And it does help. The best, to step back for a second, it is best practice to start by putting a dollar amount on your time. And it's very simple to do. Just take what you made last year. You can choose to do the number however you want, whether it's, pre-tax, post-tax, pre-depreciation, whatever. I don't care. Divide that by 2,000 hours a year, which is a standard 50-hour work week or 50-week work year, and see what you get. And I'm embarrassed that I did that probably at the age of 34, 35 before I did it. And I scratched my head and I'm like, okay, but I am putting in more hours than that. So even when I added like double the hours, even I did like 4,000 hours, I doubled it. It was still like, wait a second, why would I do anything that I could pay somebody even $30 an hour to do? And when it comes to, that's not just business. Like that's not just business. That's personal. I mean, if there's any of you guys that own businesses and you're cutting your own grass, stop doing that. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if it's peaceful. I don't care if it's your free time, whatever you want to try to justify yourself. I don't, it doesn't bother me, but don't try to fool yourself in thinking that doing some of those mundane tasks, even your own house. And I don't care if you're not, successful in the eyes of the person across the way from you or whatever the case is. That's time that's so valuable that you can be going to the gym, that you can be spending with your kids, that you can be working on your business, which is really the easiest one. I mean, that's an easy way to win some time back, is don't do some of these tasks that you can easily hire somebody to do. Now, there's certain things that we do as business owners that's very hard to delegate. That's why I think the VAs come in handy, because they can take things to the next level between, monitoring emails, to just checking in with things that you need to do, or following up with your tasks. So once you start to get a hold on that, it really kind of falls into place and it becomes easier. And this is coming from the guy that I can tell you right now, for the first 10 years of my career, and probably eight or 9 years of my career, I was putting in 80 plus hours a week, 7 days a week. It was nonstop. My family suffered from it. I missed time with my kids. I have 3 daughters and I wasn't around, but I was there to say, I'm doing all this for them. I'm doing this for them to have a better life. The reality is your kids don't care. They just want their dad. They just want their mom. Like, they don't, whatever you're doing, it's not worth it. They don't know the difference. In fact, I would argue that it's worse, because the better life you give your children at a young age may set them up for some complacency later on. I can't get my kids to do chores because they're spoiled at this point. Like, there's certain things that I have to work with them on, because it's like, oh, you've got a little bit too easy. But the reality is just being there and being present is so important. And it's cliche. And I heard there's people that told me this. My mentor told me this, and it took a while before it sunk in, and he kept kind of jamming it into my brain. Like, they just want you there in any capacity. And then when it comes to fitness, I don't know if you know my history. I was overweight my whole life. I struggled with my weight even after I lost weight, and I kind of did the yo-yo effect, but I was just shy of 300 pounds in high school and lost the weight. Like I said, gained it back. And even a few years ago, I was probably about 30 or 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I used the same excuse. I didn't have time to go to the gym. I just don't have time. I don't have time. You make the time. It's all about priorities too at that point too. And that clarity.
We have such crazy similar stories.
I think I knew that. Yeah. I think we talked about that at the Titan retreat.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because I was up to like 300 pounds and going.
Yes.
And even when I met my wife and everything else, like I always had this in my head where I'd cut weight in high school to date a girl that I really wanted to go to prom with. And so I started going to the gym and becoming super fit. And then when I hit 21, I don't know what happened or what changed. I just was putting on this extra 30, 40 pounds. And then when I started in the moving industry, the mindset was, oh, I'll try and get to the gym maybe like once a week, or I'll try and do this. And I look at how busy my schedule is now as opposed to what it was in my 20s, which was not nearly as packed as it is now, where my excuses were I don't have time. And now it's, boy, like I can't wait. Like I have so much extra time to go to the gym or work out or, fit in some type of fitness, because it's a total change in your mind. Like that mindset of, being healthy, and my kids see it, your daughters see it, right? They go, wow, like, look at dad. He's super strong. He's my hero, right? They look up to the superheroes, out there. My son's friends call me the Hulk, especially when I'm wearing the green t-shirt to pick him up from school. So, but to me, it's not like that ego trip. It's the fact that I want to be there. And I don't know if I brought it up on this podcast, but I was talking to somebody the other day. I picked up my son from an event where half his school was there. All these kids were on the playground. And I looked around this playground to watch all these different dads just having these conversations with other dads, or they're talking to the moms and everything else. And my son and all his buddies and everybody else were on this playground playing whatever kind of game it was. And I said, oh, do you want me to join in? Like on this little tag game? And I was flying up and climbing up and, just doing all kinds of fun things that these kids were like, wow, how did you climb up this, this whatever issue? But one of the dads was like, oh, wow, you sure have a lot of energy. I'm like, that's right. I'm like, I go and hang out with your kid and his friends. Like, why am I going to stand here and watch when I can just join in and have that experience with my son and his friends? It's crazy. And a lot of those guys are all around the same age. And I said, like, fuck, like go work out. I'm in better shape in my 40s than I have been, since I was 20. But I think we talk about too is, if you have almost that metabolism where it's easy, right? It's easy to sit down and kind of get lazy and eat the food and put on the weight, super easy. It almost has to make you work extra harder. And it should be that way in your business too. If there's a lot of competitors out there in your market, you should be working extra hard, right? I remember Dan Martell, I was watching this clip and he was showing his watch. It's a $500,000 watch. And he doesn't wear it to gloat. He wears it to remind himself that he has to be making sure, and don't quote me on it, but he has to make sure that he's making at least $500,000 a month. Because when he breaks down his time and the amount of hours and what he should be getting paid per hour, it actually works out to be something like $500,000. So he wears that as a reminder to go, if I want to get to this goal, I need to be making sure that I'm earning this.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs. There's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up Training yet, get a demo done. Get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up Training today.
And it really is. It helps because it's easy. I find myself doing it too. There's times where it's just easier to do a mundane task or just like a last minute thing just because it seems faster, simpler, quicker. And there are examples where it just makes sense. Like, hey, it'll take me longer to go ask my VA or ask my staff member to do this. I'll just do it real quick. You just can't get caught in it. You just don't fall into that pattern of behavior and you'll be fine. But really just continuing to elevate that and set those expectations and see what's coming, where you're trying to go. And it's good stuff. But
this is yeah, go ahead. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say finding time to go to the gym is not one that, and you can't delegate that either.
No. Well, you can. I mean, there are products like Ozempic and Mounjaro that are out there for a lot of people that I know that
I don't know about that.
They shortchange it. But you're never going to build muscle unless you're actually working on it, right? You don't build a business unless you're constantly working on it consistently, day and day. Why do they say do 3 reps? Because you consistently want to train your body to learn on that muscle, to grow that muscle. They don't just say, hey, do 1 rep and you're done, right? That's like telling someone go fold 1 moving pad and you're good. You know how to move furniture. No. Go fold 100 moving pads so you really understand how to like fine tune it, line it up, and put it in the back of the truck. Then come talk to me about what's next. Kurt, this has been great.
Yeah,
I feel
likewise.
like we were like motivating each other like left and right. I hope you guys all got something out of this, guys.
Absolutely.
And gals that were listening today. This has been fantastic. We'll have to definitely do a follow-up down the line and see how our end of the years were for 2025. Kirk, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I appreciate you taking the time for this. This is fun. We'll do it again sometime.
This is great. This was awesome. For all those that are listening, make sure you like, subscribe, follow. This is why we do it. Hit that 5-star if you really enjoy the show, and share your comments. What did you think of Superman? What do you think of this episode? I mean, this episode was fire, and I really hope you guys are walking away with some real solid nuggets to implement within your business, because that's what it's all about, and that's what this show's all about, to not let you reinvent the wheel, but guide you on building your entire car. So let's focus on that. And for all those that are listening, stay movified. Until next time, thanks guys.